I'd like to thank everyone for joining us tonight as we have part 3 of our webinar. We're going to tonight talk all about Cub Camps across day camps, Snyder, and at Camp Ross. My name is Eric Smith. I am the Director of Camping. I would like to kick it over to Sarah real quick.
Hi, I'm Sarah. I'm the camping specialist, primarily for Goshen Scout Reservation, and I'm going to turn it over to Richard.
Hi, everyone. I'm Richard Holtzlander. I'm the camp director at Camp Ross, and I've been working at Camp Ross for about 12 years now. And I'll kick it over to Ryan.
Hello, everybody. My name is Ryan Alfred. I'm the camp ranger out at Camp Snyder and the summer camp director. And welcome everybody for attending. And I'll kick it over to Stephen.
Hi, I'm Stephen, and I am the staff advisor for our district day camps. And so this is the second year doing it, so it should be a lot of fun this year.
All right, and I'll go ahead and start the slides. So Richard, you can take over.
Perfect.
Give me a second here. There we are.
All right. And the Q&A is open. Cool. So for the various opportunities that we have throughout the summer, we've prepared this PowerPoint just to answer some quick questions. And of course, throughout, please feel free to ask any questions through the Q&A feature, and we'll answer them to the best of our ability. And then we'll also have some time at the end to go over any of the questions that are asked multiple times throughout the PowerPoint. So with that, let's get camping planning for summer 2022. All right. So this summer, our offerings are going to be our day camp programs, which will be offered in our local districts. We'll have our summer resident weekend programs offered at Snyder. These will be offered over 5 weekends, June 23rd through the 26th, June 30th through July 3rd, July 5th through the 7th, which will be a midweek program, July 7th through the 10th, and July 14th through the 17th. In addition to that, we have our Webelos resident camping programs, which are offered at Goshen through Camp Ross. These start on June 27th, and the first week ends on July 3rd. And these are 1-week sessions that run until July 31st. So July 31st would be the 6th week and the last week. So who's going where? So for our district day camp programs, these are oriented for our Rising Tigers through our Rising Webelos. For our programs at Snyder, these are also oriented towards our Rising Tigers through Rising Webelos for day camp or for resident weekends. So they're appropriate for both. For our programs at Goshen at Camp Ross, our Rising First and Second Year Webelos Scouts. In addition to that, Rising Scouts BSA youth, so members who are bridging into Scouts BSA, are welcome to come as a den chief. And unfortunately, at this time, we don't have any program offerings specifically for Rising Lions. For our COVID considerations, starting off, if you're feeling sick, please don't come to camp. This is just a general precaution that we have to take in order to make sure that everyone who's coming to any of our camp programs stays healthy throughout the summer. For our cohorts, for those of you who participated in our programs last year for 2021, you may remember that we operated in cohorts. due to the decreased COVID rates that we're seeing, we will no longer be requiring cohorts for camp activities. Vaccines are still going to be highly encouraged for adults coming to camp, as well as any youth that are eligible. And then in addition to that, if any campers throughout the week are exhibiting symptoms of COVID-19, it's possible that they may be sent home. In terms of our offerings at our day camp programs, to start out, our theme for this summer is going to be superheroes, and our day camps offer program areas relating to BBs, which is our air-powered rifles or air-powered pellet guns, archery, field games, scout skills such as knot tying or fire building, and ecology. So learning about plants, animals, and the nature of the area. For our programs at Snyder, and Ryan, if you'd like to give some more specific details about the programs at Snyder this summer, please feel free to hop in. Our theme this summer is going to be Passport to Adventure. If you want to elaborate on that a little bit, that would be great.
Yeah, so we're really excited about the Passport to Adventure. Basically what it is it's going to give scouts the experience of kind of traveling around the globe with select countries picked out. Each area will be themed per that country. During flag ceremonies, we might represent that country also. So we've got a lot of, just kind of a passport to adventure. When scouts get here, they will get an actual passport to take with them around camp. And the goal is to complete that passport by the time they leave. And then they have also something very tangible and high quality to take home. So that's really the focus of is our theme this year.
Fantastic. So in addition to the theme that they've got running, they'll also have opening and closing campfires to start off and close out the program that they're offering. And at their program areas, they have offerings of a pool and a lake, a BB's range. So again, those air-powered rifles or air-powered pellet rifles, a archery field, a wood shop, a handicraft area, and a STEM area. Kicking it over to Goshen at Camp Ross, our theme for this summer is going to be ancient empires. So when we're thinking of ancient empires, we are really excited. We're kicking it way back in history, and we're looking at time periods like the ancient Romans and Greeks and Egyptians. And we're going to be looking at those time periods, and we're going to be engaging with some of the myths and heroes and different exciting adventures that there are there. At our program areas, we'll have themes that are tied directly to those ancient empires. So at our handicraft area, we'll have a theme craft directly tied to the ancient empires theme that scouts will be able to take home with them. As well, in all of our other program areas, they will have specific tie-ins to our theme throughout the week. In addition to this, we'll have our opening and closing campfires, where we'll open and close the week and introduce and close for the theme as well. Each day we have a running theme skit that introduces a new plot item to the theme as it develops throughout the week. In terms of what kind of camp is a better fit for my youth, so thinking back to our earlier slide about our rising Webelos through rising tigers, so those would be more appropriate for our day camps and programs at Snyder, whereas our rising Webelos and rising AOLs would have a better suited time at Camp Ross. So the adult requirements specifically in regards to Camp Ross, and I'll let Sarah or Ryan hop in as it regards to other programs. For Camp Ross, we're requiring that at least 2 adults be present per youth protection, unless you're camping as a lone scout. So that would be a situation where a scout and a parent is coming. And then in addition, if a group exceeds 4 scouts, so say you have a group of 5 scouts, you would need to have 2 adults. If you have a group of 9 scouts, you would need to have 3 adults. So it's 1 scout or 1 adult per 4 scouts, essentially.
Let me, if I can, let me jump in really quickly. For day camp, we have what we call the Den Walker program, and it's one scout per one adult per 4 kids. So each den will at least, excuse me, we try to have each den be about 8 kids, and so there'll be at least 2 adults. Now the caveat to this is if you have a rising tiger, then the parent has to be there. You have to have a tiger partner there for the whole week. So.
Ryan, do you want to go over what the requirements are at Snyder?
Yeah, sorry, it was just jumping. I don't know if it was jumping for everybody. And Sarah, I think ours have been updated kind of to mirror yours, but we are at basically 1 adult per 5 scouts, minimum of 2 adults, which covers you up to that 9 to 10 scouts. So basically mirrors the same thing as we've got going on at Ross.
So fees associated with each camp program, I'll speak for Camp Ross, and then for Ryan and Steven, if you'd like to speak for Snyder and the day camp programs. Right now, we're still in our early bird registration time period for Camp Ross, which ends on April 15th. Currently, the price per youth is $420, and then the price for an adult after the second registered adult is $225. So the first 2 adults are free, and then each additional adult past that is for a fee. After the early bird deadline, which is April 15th, so after April 15th, the price becomes $450 for a scout, youth, and $265 for each additional unit leader.
I can jump in and tell you what our pricing is for Snyder, and we'll focus on the resident weekends. The early bird, which ends, of course, April 16th, is currently $215 for camper price. Adult price is $80. The next one, which we consider the on time, is by May 14th, which is the $235, the camper price, and the adult price goes to $105. And then the final one, which is referred to as late or just the latest registration, is the camper price is $255 and the adult price is $130, and that's after May 14th. So the first one is coming up here in 16, 17 days, just FY.
And I guess to be a little bit more difficult, our early bird actually ends on May 15th, but our prices vary. Depends on the camp that you are attending. Camp fees are based upon the price of the venue. So if you are in one of the more expensive venues, it's a little bit more expensive. The most it costs before at the early bird rate at till May 15th is $190, but it does go down to $110 depending on the camp. So please look at our website and you'll see all the prices for each different camp.
So for each of our camp programs, we also have direct links that can be used after the presentation or during the presentation if you'd like for additional resources. For our district day camps, you would go to gotodaycamp.org. For our Snyder summer camps, you would go to snyder.org and search for summer camps. And for our Webelos camps, For Goshen, you would go to Goshen/Ross. Let's go ahead and start looking at some of the questions that we have in the chat.
Looks like our first one might be an Eric question. Can you speak about masking at the different camps?
Sure thing. For Ross, we will be, masks are highly encouraged, but masks will not be required. Since we do follow state and local guidelines. Ryan, would you like to speak to Snyder?
Yeah, so we're kind of on the same thing. It's mask of highly encouraged, especially when you're in the areas that would be the tightest, whether that might be BBs or archery, where we have groupings together. That's where we still want to be somewhat, mindful of that. So highly encouraged, kind of this on the same boat as you for sure.
And then Steven, would you like to?
So for day camp, so we go by the local venue, so where the venue is located. So in Maryland, and it depends on the county, it's highly encouraged, but it's not a requirement at this point. So if things change within the local guidelines, then we will change as well. But it really is up to the individual camp because of where they're situated, since they're almost all in different counties around the council.
Cool. Next question. This will be for you, Richard. Can you speak more about the Quest program?
Right. So the Quest program at Ross is our program that caters more towards those scouts that maybe have already been to Ross before. And so there are Arrow of Light Scouts generally, and it sort of introduces them to the Scouts BSA programs. And we engage more with the wilderness aspect of being a member of the Scouts BSA. So our daytime programs are shelter building and advanced fire building tactics, as well as just general safety in the forest to prepare yourself for all sorts of situations that might arise. And then we have a closeout program for our Arrow of Light Scouts who will be bridging into the Scouts BSA in the near future. We have a special campfire that we do on Thursday evenings that's dedicated specifically to them.
Excellent. Let me pick another question. This will be an Eric question. If a scout becomes positive right before camp, is there a reimbursement option?
Yes, we will reimburse due to medical issues. If they can present documentation of, then we can issue that refund.
All right, and a question for you, Ryan. Will the Camp Snyder program Passport to Adventure cover any of the requirements for the International Spirit Award?
The short answer to that is yes. There's some of them that it can't cover, but it can cover some, especially like one of the requirements is to learn 10 words that are a different language than your own. Something like that would be covered. So we're going to cover some of them that would give you a good head start. And one of the things we're going to do this year is also have a one-page, very easy to understand document that explains all the requirements or advancements that are worked on at camp. So when you get here, you'll get that in your leader's packet. And then so you'll have a clear understanding of exactly what we're covering in each area. Kind of just FYI, but the short answer to that is yes, we will cover some of them, but there's some that can't be covered here. So we will cover all the ones we can.
All right, and next question for all of you, what's the daily schedule of activities like? Let's start with Richard.
So at Camp Ross, we kick off in the morning at 8 a.m. with our opening flags for each day. We start off with our breakfast. That's usually about 30 minutes. At 9 a.m., program begins. So we have 3 hours of program in the morning, separated into 50-minute blocks. where your unit would go from program area to program area on a predetermined schedule. After that, we have our siesta and open lunch, which is 2.5 hours, where scouts, leaders, and the staff have some time to relax and take a little bit of the walking out of their day during some of those hottest hours of the day, so that they can spend some time in the campsite and take a breather. And then the afternoon program starts at 2:30, runs for 3 hours, similarly to the morning, in 50-minute sessions, right up until dinner, which is at 6 p.m., which is about 30 minutes. And then we'll have an evening program some nights around 7, and a flag ceremony to close out the day at 8:15.
What's the schedule like over at Snyder, Ryan?
Well, it's super exciting as always. So we're kind of excited about the schedule. One thing that we really worked hard on was to kind of look at the past 3 years, 5 years, not counting 2020, of course, and kind of look at some reviews and say, you know, what are our scouts and what are our leaders wanting? And one thing we noticed is we were keeping people very too busy, where they wanted a little free time. So one of the things we're excited about is for a resident weekend, 2 things. Number one is we now have Thursday night check-in. All resident weekends used to arrive Friday morning, which is still an option. We will still have a check-in Friday morning, but we'll have a Thursday night option, which allows you to do your swim checks on Thursday night and then have full time at the pool on Friday, full time at the pool on Saturday. So you'll be swimming a lot, which is one of the things we hear that people want. So we heard you, and we're definitely doing that. We'll still be in the den model where we're walking around to, the different program areas. So that's good. One of the things we're also going to do this year is we're going to continue to do the wood shop. That's been a high activity that people are just really excited about. They get to take something with them. And then we're going to actually break the groups up so we have a STEM activity too. So we're going to have some very exciting, new activities that we haven't done in the past. We'll still do all the old thing, all the older things we've done in the past around, BB guns, archery, handicraft, the staples of Snyder, just sprinkling in a few extra things to make that passport to adventure this year even a little more exciting. And then come after dinner, we'll have what we consider open program, kind of the same as a lot of our camps are doing, to where you kind of design your program at night. If you want to swim more, which we hear people want to do, you go swimming. If you'd like to go back to handicraft and work on something else, you can do that. If you'd like to hike the nature trail, you can do that. So it's kind of going to be a few more options. If you want to work on your passport and go around and kind of get some more of those stamps, which you'll learn more about in the future, you can do that. So, that's something, that's kind of the overall schedule related to the resident weekends that we're excited about.
Stephen, what's the basic schedule like at day camp?
So the fun part about this is it allows our volunteers to have a lot of creativity. So some things are the same. So all of our camps will at least do archery, but there's some camps that will not do BBs this year, just because of the venue, but most of them will. But then they make up for it by doing things like fishing, or slingshots, or some other crafts. So it's basically a round robin. So you do some similar things each day. So for instance, you're going to have a craft every day. You're going to have a scout skill every day. You're going to get a chance to shoot. If you have all the shooting sports, you're going to get a chance to shoot BB guns and bow and arrows every day. And then most camps will bring in some type of programming, whether it be the fire department. Once again, heroes don't always mean capes, and although I will be wearing a cape this year, but it doesn't always mean capes. Sometimes it actually can be the fire department, the police, or we're going to bring in a lot of guests this year to come in and do presentations for our scouts. So it just depends on the camp. And once again, each camp has a different flyer and some different programming options. There will be some that everything is the same, but there will be some different options this year. So we're looking forward to the variety.
All right. Next question for you, Stephen. Is the Tiger Partner, does that count as one of the 2 minimum adults?
Yes.
Excellent. And we'll have some more questions about adults. What do adults generally do while they're at camp? Let's start with Ryan at Snyder.
Well, we want their, of course, the first thing they always do is to be the responsible adult leadership for the scouts. But that's what I call number one. The second thing we want them to do is, we really work on three things at Snyder. When I talk to our staff, when I talk to anybody, I say, we want everybody to be safe. We want everybody to have fun, and we want that fun to involve some learning. So we want the leaders to have fun too. So we do things like scavenger hunt for leaders, which in the past has actually turned into a very competitive with some of the leaders. So we hide some things around camp. We have some scavenger hunts and things like that. And we're going to look to try to add a few more things that leaders have the option to do this year. Sometimes you think how it's hard to mix them in with the, when they're actually having, everybody at the same place at the same time. But we try to mix in some fun for the adult leaders too. So we're probably going to be bringing back some activities that they've done in the past. I don't want to name any just because if they don't happen, but we're looking to do we want leaders to have fun too, because if you're having fun, it trickles down to everybody. So most definitely.
All right, Richard, how about you? What do adults do during the week?
Right. So for our adults that are coming to Camp Ross, we absolutely encourage them to hop in the programming that we have going on for our Webelos Scouts. Just because you're there to act as a chaperone doesn't mean that you're not there to have fun. So for many of the adults coming to camp, it's entirely possible that it could be their first time in a camping environment, or their first time shooting a bow and arrow or shooting a BB gun or any of the sort. And we like to try and get you involved as much as possible. So that's what we like to try and do at Ross is get everyone involved in all of our programs.
All right, and Stephen, what do adults do at day camp?
So they're going to have the opportunity, I guess, like everybody else, they're going to have the opportunity to try some of the shooting sports. If we do something like shooting rockets, as an example, they would get the opportunity to participate in that, build a rocket. They'll get to do a lot of the activities that the kids do, but primarily they are there to make sure that the kids get to where they need to, and they're being safe, and they're the supervision. But we're going to try to mix it up as well to make it a little bit more fun for them, so it's not as long of a day, so everybody is sleepy at the end of the day, not just the kids. So we want everybody to go home and sleep well.
All right, and this is a me question. For adult fees, if you have adults that are splitting the week, so the first one may come for 3 days and the other comes for the other 3 days, but if you have adults that are splitting the week, register them as one single adult. You can put their one adult in the first name and one adult in the last name, but just register them as one adult. And that goes for the same if you have 3 adults that are splitting the week. So that's what to do with splitting adults. And if you have parents that want to come visit for just one night, so there is a registration, or there's a mild registration fee, but you don't need to register in advance. You would just show up and handle it then. I believe it's about $55 a night, but I'd have to double check that. And if you're staying under 72 hours, you just need medical form parts A and B. You do not need part C to stay under 72 hours. And let's see, what is tenting like at Camp Ross?
So our tents at Camp Ross are A-frame canvas tents set up on a wooden platform. The tents are set up in a rough ring formation around the center of the campsite and have 2 cots per tent. In terms of sleeping arrangements, generally speaking, I like to try and encourage scouts to tent with their friends or tent with other scouts. However, if there's a situation where you have an odd number of scouts and there are not enough tents for scouts, or like say there's one scout that would be alone, it would be permissible for one scout to stay with a parent, so long as the adult that they're staying with is their parent. If that's the case, another thing that I like to try and encourage is, if a scout has to stay with a parent, try and rotate so that that scout can also stay with some of their friends in a tent, and have another scout maybe swap in with their own parent.
And Ryan, what's the tenting like over at Camp Snyder? And we'll skip day camp because they're not tenting.
It's beautiful. No, we have we use the same style of canvas tents. The only difference on ours than Ross's, we would use the 4 scout tents, the 4-person scout tents. So each tent will have 4 cots in each tent. Every campsite has 9 tents circled around the campfire and sort of around the pavilion that's in each campsite. So when you come to Snyder, that's the great thing. The pavilion's set up, the picnic tables are underneath it, campfire rings there, and the tents are set up, you know, all that's ready to go with 4 cots in each tent. And we make sure when we're doing the assignments to each campsite is we're very look at the who's coming, and we assign them campsites based on that to make sure that we have enough space in each campsite. So when you show up, you'll have a campsite that actually, you know, is fitted just for your group. So it works out good. And what the other thing we'll also do is, you know, not everybody brings 30 scouts to camp. So sometimes you may have, you know, 5 scouts, 10 scouts. So, you know, we work at putting them together that makes sense for everybody.
All right, next question. Do the camps have cell service? We'll start with Richard at Camp Ross.
So Camp Ross has fairly limited cell service. If your cell service provider is Verizon or Sprint, you may be able to get some service with Sprint. If you're Verizon, you should be in the clear. If you have AT&T or T-Mobile, you will most likely not have any service. However, from our administrative building, we do have wireless service that is available for unit leaders to use. If you need to connect to the outside world to let people know that you're having a great time, or do quick check-ins with any business that you have going on at home.
Ours is a lot easier here, Sarah. People that are familiar with Camp Snyder know we're pretty close to town. So cell phone service is really, really good here. I would say, you know, pretty much all the carriers works really good here. Also, just FYI, what we have new for 2022 is our dining hall is now outfitted with high-speed internet. So when you're in there for the meals or throughout the day, the entire dining hall is now lit up with high-speed internet. So that's an exciting thing for this year that people have been asking for.
Stephen, do you have anything to say about cell service?
We're not in the rural areas, so most of our camps have pretty good cell service everywhere, so we're good.
All right. Richard, you may have answered this already, but how do people sign up for activities, or how do they get their schedule?
Right. So the way our schedule works is, for our Monday and Tuesday programs, we like to give units a chance to see our program areas, meet our staff. And so for those 2 days, we actually pre-cater a schedule for every unit coming to camp, so that everyone gets to see every program area. On Monday evening, each unit selects an adult leader that is available to go and meet with our program director, Andrew Goshorn, and then he explains and tells about the various program offerings that we have for Wednesday, Thursday, Friday at each of our program areas. So our auxiliary program offerings, for example, would be things like tie-dye, or jumping on the water trampoline at aquatics, or shooting for distance day at archery, participating in the ecology program at nature, or participating in pioneering at Scoutcraft. So Drew would tell those leaders about those program offerings. They would go back to their unit, engage with the scouts and say like, okay, scouts, what would we like to do for this week? What do you want to do? After convening with the scouts and the leaders in the unit, they would turn in a program request sheet by the next morning with their ideal program lineup for the week. And then Drew sits down throughout the day on Tuesday and does his very best to make sure that every unit that comes to Ross gets to do the things that they want to do for Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday.
Follow-up question to that. What if they have a combined group of Webelos 1s and AOLs?
So Webelos 1s and AOLs, in particular for our AOL program at Quest, you're actually able to split the unit. So our Quest program offering, we take care to make sure that we're always youth protection compliant by having 2 21-year-olds present to give the program offering. So for that program, it's not necessary that each unit send a leader. And for that reason, units can actually split if they need to, send their Aero Light Scouts to the Aero Light program if they so desire to go there. And then the Webelos 1 Scouts would be able to participate in the standard or like more traditional program offerings that Ross has.
All right, and Ryan, for Snyder, do people need to sign up for any activities?
No, when you arrive, you'll get your what we call the sign-in packet that has all the information for where your different rotations are going to be. So those are all signed up for you, and we design it so you get to see every area. Then you also have open programs, so you can see an area twice if you need to. And then we also try to break it down. If you're swimming one day at 10 o'clock, we do our best to make sure the next day you're not swimming at 2 o'clock, 10 o'clock, you're swimming in the afternoon to kind of give you a, kind of a good overall mix of everything. So their welcome packet will have all that in there and with good explanations. And then we also do a leaders meeting and really get into more detail.
All right, and Stephen, for day camp, do people need to sign up for any activities?
No, they're everything is built in. So.
All right, excellent. Eric, this one's for you. Can you speak a little bit to what units with female scouts, but without female adult leaders should do?
All right, for those units that do not have the ability to bring a female adult leader, what we would ask is you contact us, so therefore we can work on camping you in the same site with a unit that does have female adult leadership. If we know that ahead of time, then we can work on coordinating units, and therefore we won't have to turn away any scouts from camp.
All right, this one will be, we'll start with Camp Ross. What's the food like? What's the dining situation like at Camp Ross?
The dining situation at Camp Ross is absolutely great. Our menu is designed by our camp dining services coordinator, Drac Payton. Drac sits down every year to make any adjustments that are necessary to the dining plan to cater best to today's youth. In addition to that, we also do our best to provide accommodations to our friends of camping that are gluten intolerant. We do not have any nut products, both tree nuts and ground nuts, in our dining facilities. And we do our best to offer vegetarian and accommodate for vegan options whenever possible. For our meals in the morning, our breakfasts tend to consist of a protein, usually eggs, and a rotation of turkey bacon and turkey sausage, and then a carb offering of usually like a potato. So like hash browns or like home fries. Our lunches are going to be cold lunches. They're pickup lunches that can be taken anywhere with the unit. So those will be cold cuts that is on a rotating basis. We'll have turkey, ham, and we'll also have greens available with those, and condiment sides. For our individuals who are vegetarian, gluten intolerant, etc., we also have the alternative options to pick up at those times just as well. And then our evening meals are a rotation throughout the week. Each night is a different meal. In years past, we've had chicken tender nights, pasta night, a taco night, a burgers and hot dogs night. And then in addition to that, we also have our vegetarian options and gluten-free options every night.
Ryan, what's the food like and the dining situation like over at Camp Snyder?
Well, a lot of things Richard stated, we mirror those. I'll tap on a couple of new things for this year. Is we're two of the new things we're going to be doing this year is, number one, for lunch and dinner, we will be having a salad bar, which we've never done in the past. So that is new for this year. We'll also be doing what we call a fruit bar, which is really just for every meal, which will be basically oranges, apples, those type of things. We might do some cut options in there sometimes, but to really have those two options, especially for the adult leaders that may want a little extra or just are used to eating salad or enjoy salad like I do, that option's there. We'll also be doing family style dining. So the staff will be, our staff, we're here for shorter time. So our staff will be handling the food, put on the tables, and then we'll just ask, as always, have we done in the past, because for the scouts and the leaders, kind of just everybody help clean up is how we always do our meals afterwards. So I think I think people that have been here in the past and come this year is going to see a step up in the food is what we're planning and what we're excited for.
All right, our next question is about medical forms. When are they due? Let's start with Camp Snyder.
Medical forms, they don't, as it's been a medical form, they don't come in early. So those get brought to camp when you're coming to camp. One of the first things you'll notice we do is we do a check-in, which is really just to see who's here, for our medic to get medical forms, to do any individual conversations that the leaders tell us we might need to have, which sometimes do happen, to sort out any medications that are going to be administered throughout the weekend and how that, and how all that works. So really they bring those to camp when they come to camp, and we will sort them. And then when they leave camp, they'll get those back as part of the checkout process.
At Ross, our process is very similar to over at Snyder. We have our day one check-in where we get a firm count of everyone that's there, make sure that everyone who's arriving to camp is feeling happy, healthy, and is ready to have some fun for the week. And we go ahead and we just do a quick review of their medical forms to make sure that there aren't any outlier indications that we need to write down on, say, like their buddy tag for aquatics, so that we know that if they have any sort of medical emergency while they're in a program area, that program area knows not to give specific types of care if they have any contradictions to a care given.
We also, at day camp, the first day you have to check in with the medic, and they'll collect your medical form. I think the difference between ours is we need both we just need A and B for day camp. And they'll hold your forms, and if any medication that stays, and unless it's a few certain types of medication, it stays with the medic for the week or each day. So.
Excellent. We're going to jump topics over to buses. So I'll answer this for Goshen. There is a Goshen bus again this year, bringing it back. So that will leave from the Fairfax Government Center in Northern Virginia, and there's also a Largo pickup point as well. And I know Snyder is doing something new this year with the bus. Ryan, do you want to talk about that a little bit?
I think Eric, I'm probably push that one to you. I think you've got a little more knowledge on the bus, and just to make sure we're giving out the correct information, if you can answer that one, that would be appreciated.
Yeah, sure thing. For day camp over at Snyder, those that are in Chainbridge or the surrounding districts, there will be a bus service option available that you can apply for at the same time that you register for day camp.
All right, next question. What is the bathroom shower situation like? Richard, what's it like at Camp Ross?
So at Camp Ross, all of our bathrooms and our showers at the camp are single participant or single occupancy showers and bathrooms. So we do this as a way to ensure that all of our youth and our leaders at camp are maintaining safety, right, for their own self. So it's important that when we're using these bathrooms and showers, we're having one participant in them at a time, and all of those bathrooms and showers are open to any gender that may be participating at Ross. So for all of our young men, all of our young women that are coming to camps, they can use any bathroom stall, any shower, so long as it's not already being occupied.
Ryan, what are the showers and bathrooms like over at Camp Snyder?
It's a little different than Ross. We have 4 shower houses that are situated around the campsite, what I call the circle. So, between 2 and 4 campsites share a shower house, and each shower house is divided into 4 sections. Men's as 18 and above, women's as 18 and above, then youth boys and youth girls as under 18. So they're divided into 4 sections. One of the things we ask, of course, is that with any of our restrooms here is that, above 18-year-olds don't go into the youth restrooms unless there's a major safety concern is how we word it. And usually what ends up happening is you'll see usually the adult leader that's watching kind of hang outside the door, and just, you can usually hear if something goes awry. It doesn't take much. And then usually that solves it just with saying somebody's name. So, and then they have individual showers in there. Now ours is a little bit different because they're here mostly just for weekends. So I'm not sure how many people take showers, but, and that's okay. Mom might not like it when they get home, or dad, but I don't think there's a lot of showers going on here, maybe just a few adults during the weekends.
And jumping from showers over to aquatics, Richard, can you talk about pre-camp swim checks?
So in years previous and going into this year for our swim checks, we are going to ask that all scouts coming to camp participate in a swim check as part of their day one programming. I know that this is a little bit cumbersome at times for units and also for the scouts, but I feel it's important, as well as my aquatics director feels that it's important, that scouts at Ross have experience with the lake, and the aquatic staff, so our lifeguards, see that those scouts are strong, capable swimmers before we just give them free rein of the lake. As a lot of times there are situations such that many accomplished swimmers may come to camp, and myself included. I'm generally a strong swimmer, but swimming in a lake is tough. There's a current, the water is much colder, and it can become very tiring very quickly. And we just want to make sure that everyone who's swimming at camp is placed in a position that suits them best. And they're more than welcome to, throughout the week, retest to position themselves somewhere else in the beginner, swimmer, and non-swimmer ranges.
All right. The next question is any training required for the leaders prior to coming to camp? So I'll answer that for Goshen. For people attending Camp Ross, any adult, so anyone ages 18 and up, who is present in camp for 72 hours or more, it doesn't need to be consecutive, needs to be registered with the BSA and have current youth protection training. So that's for Goshen. Ryan, what are the requirements for Snyder?
Snyder's a little bit different since we're here less than 72 hours. We fall under short-term camping. So I don't want to give wrong information on that one. Eric, are you familiar with that? I want to make sure we give the exact information, or we can follow up with that.
I'd have to dig back into the standards on that one.
Yeah, we don't fall under any of, like the basic things you have to do. It's really what you have to do to be part of the unit is what you have to do to come to Snyder. So whatever the requirements are for you to be an adult leader in that unit, those requirements mirror Snyder, and we don't add anything on extra, if that makes sense.
All right, and Stephen, how about day camp?
You don't have to be a registered leader, but we do ask that you take youth protection. So.
All right, and this one, are uniforms required? Class A, Class B? Richard, are there any times you'd need your fancy shirt at Camp Ross?
So specifically for our Class A or our field uniform, you only really need it one time a day, each day, for our evening flag ceremony. So the majority of the time, I actually encourage units to let the scouts leave their uniforms in a leader's car, because some of our campsites are a little bit further away from the parade field, and it's super easy to just grab that uniform out of the vehicle, line up for flags, and then when you're done, pack it away in the car. In terms of our Class B or just our day uniform, scouts are encouraged to wear a Class B when they have it, but we understand that not everyone's going to have the exact Class B down to a T all the time. So wear what makes your scouts comfortable, is what I like to say. They're going to be there for a week, and we want to make sure that they're having a comfortable, happy time while they're there.
We're in the same boat here at Snyder with our field uniform, which is what I'm wearing here. You'll see the staff wearing it at dinner. That's the only time we'll wear those. Usually leaders request their scouts also wear them at dinner, but if somebody's not wearing them, we still let them all eat. So they can more than welcome come in. Sometimes it's just 100 degrees and hot, and some people just don't put them on. So nothing's required, just recommended at dinner for the field uniform.
For day camp, we don't actually require a Class A, but you will have to wear the camp T-shirt every day that you're there. You can buy extra if you'd like, and if you don't want to wash a T-shirt every day. And we also require that you wear closed-toed shoes. So those are the two dressing requirements for day camp.
All right, we'll do one last question because we're running up here on 8 o'clock, which is when we said we'd end the webinar. So this will be a COVID-related question. Are we going to have temperature checks on check-in day? This will be for Eric.
You will actually receive, prior to arriving at camp, the pre-event check sheet, which will be a self-assessment. So what we will ask is that you take your temperature check before camp, along with asking or answering a few yes or no questions, and that you bring that sheet with you to camp.
All right, and one final question. If someone is coming with a pack as a den chief, do they need to be registered with their pack as a den chief? This might be a better Stephen question. I think it's a membership question. If someone's coming to camp as a den chief, do they need to be registered with their pack, with that pack as a den chief?
I guess. We don't actually have den chiefs. We don't actually have den chiefs that are there. We have youth staffs. So if they want to be a youth staff member for day camp, they can apply through through the camp director for the individual camps, but we don't have pack den chiefs. So, but if you're talking about a den walker, they don't actually have to be registered as in the pack. Like I said before, they do have to take youth protection now. So.
All right, and if we didn't get a chance to answer your question, I know there's a few more out there, but if we didn't get a chance to it, feel free to email any of us. Our email addresses are on the websites you see on your screen. And you can also find more information there, and we will be posting the recording to this both on the Goshen site for those of you attending Goshen, as well as on We Own Adventure, which is the council blog.